Welcome to Roaming with Restless Women, real talk with wise, dynamic women leaders. I'm your host, Julie Noonan, CEO and founder of Intuitive Wisdom Coaching, and I'm living my dream life. I live and work in my RV, coaching senior women leaders as they navigate corporate politics, family drama, and personal goals to live their own dream lives. These women are restless. They are never done seeking new opportunities, learning, and creating value in the world. If you'd like to apply to be on the show, stick around to the end and I'll let you know how. Let's go. Welcome back to Roaming with Restless Women. Today I have with me Donna Griffit. Donna Griffit is a world-renowned corporate storyteller, a pitch alchemist, which I love, and best-selling author of Sticking to My Story, The Alchemy of Storytelling for Startups. Donna has just show us the book, Donna. Flip it on up there. There we go. Yeah, I love it.
You're my Vanna White here.
Yeah. Donna has worked globally for 2 decades in over 30 countries with Fortune 500 companies, startups, and investors in a wide variety of industries, helping them create, edit, and deliver powerful presentations, pitches, and messages. She magically spins raw data into compelling stories that captivate audiences and drive results. Through her guidance, clients have raised over $2 billion. That's with a B, people. $1 billion. Donna is also a communication coach for Stanford's Graduate School of Business, helping the leaders of tomorrow become stellar communicators. For more information, you can contact donnagriffit.com, and I'll also put that in the show notes. So welcome, Donna. I'm thrilled to have
Great
you.
to be here, Julie. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited about this one, I have to tell you, because social media messages can just get so confused and so blown out of proportion or so misunderstood. So how have you found that your business and your approach to communication has changed from, I would say maybe 10, 15 years ago to now?
Wow. Funny because my nickname is Donna GPT. I've always had this sneaking suspicion that there's something bionic in my brain or AI-like, even way before Gen AI came out, because I don't quite know how I do what I do with transforming the stories, which is why I call it alchemy. It's kind of like this sort of otherworldly, kind of magical, mystical thing that happens. I don't want to sound like a tree hugger from a commune, but it just kind of it feels like that way sometimes. But since the Gen AI explosion, coming to know a bit more about how Gen AI works, I realized that what I actually have is an LLM in my brain, a large language model.
Yes.
So trained working with so many tech companies, so many startups, so many accelerators, so many investors, my brain actually trains on the data. And with LLMs, they improve over time because you feed them new data and you get new. So it's constantly a continuous learning process. So how have I updated? I've just continued to work along this curve of the latest, greatest technologies. So, I mean, big data had its big time in, like 2010, 12. Then it went and shifted, and cyber's always kind of been there. And then it was crypto and blockchain had the stage. And then there was all the disruption of the more antiquated markets like insurance and construction. And now AI is everywhere in everything at the same time. So I think for me, my baseline has always stayed the same. The method that I lay out in the book and how you communicate and how you tell a story, the structure has been around for tens of thousands of years. I just took it and made it accessible to my clients, both in the book and in the prep work they get. But what's changed is like the software around it, the data that comes in, my understanding of the market, conversations with investors. So that's probably what's changed the most.
Tell me about your methodology and why you call it storytelling as opposed to communication, although you blend it, but still storytelling is the main emphasis.
Sure. So storytelling is, I'd say, a niche inside of communication. And it's using story to drive messages and forge connections. So there's a few elements to storytelling. One is the actual structure of a message. It's ancient. We're talking, go back in time to ancient Greece, to Shakespeare, to Moliere, to Chekhov. They wrote in acts.
Yes.
When it wasn't just books, it wasn't just stories, it was plays and acts, and that's how the story was told. So there's something about our brain that's able to capture chunks of information in
Mm-hmm.
a much better way than just like throw a stream of information at me. So there's a structure there that I've taken from the world of theater and very early storytelling. But on top of that, we weave in stories, metaphors, case studies, user stories, anything that kind of captivates the imagination and helps people get it. Because when you hear a story, it's like, oh, I get what you're saying. That reminds me of the time. And then we've created this simpatico. We've created this
Right.
bond that we bond over this common story. And that's the magic that happens when people connect and not just, I'm not throwing information, I'm not trying to sell things. I'm just kind of giving my perspective. I understand their pain when I'm selling to clients. I understand what startups are going through when they're
Yeah.
struggling to tell the story. And I always say it's like there's a disconnect between their brain and their mouth. They know inside exactly what they want to say, exactly what it looks like, but somewhere along the way it gets scrambled. And then it's
Yes.
like, all right, all right. So I'm here. I'm like that
Yeah.
missing link, that little missing link in the communication chain that enables them to get those thoughts streamlined and out in the way that's the most powerful.
So,
It is fascinating. And I guess as an English major, you know the power
yeah.
of great literature and great stories. And if we can
Yes.
harness that power and
Mhm.
infuse it into our business communications, it transforms everything. People don't get
Yes.
how important it is to be able to connect on that very basic human level because stories are one of the only universal things that all religions and all cultures and all countries share. We all tell stories. We all listen to stories. We all have stories that have been passed down in our families, in our cultures, in our traditions. And these are with us for life. And then we have our take on the stories and how we pass it on. And that
Hmm.
sticks, that endures. That's why I called my book Sticking to My Story. It's one of the reasons. It's a lot of levels of meaning there, a lot of layers, but we want the information to be sticky. They're not going to go back to their team, whether it's an investor or someone who's listened to your sales pitch at an organization or a drugstore considering whether they're going to carry your line of supplements or whatever it might be. They're not going to go back and start quoting verbatim line A24 on your Excel that you've showed them. No, but they will go back and tell the story of why somebody created this because they had a father that was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes in his 50s and almost died. And he went off on a quest to
Yes.
help save the true story, by the way. This is a client of mine. So those are the moments that
Mhm.
captivate. And those are the moments that I remember. And then people feel compelled to do business with someone that really gets them.
When you share a story, it actually too, I think, crosses cultures, as you said, because
Mhm.
even though different cultures and different groups of people have different stories, there are a select number that are common across
Archetypes,
all.
archetypes. And it's like you see it
Totally.
repeated. You see it repeated in, everyone has their twist on it. Any story, any archetype of a story, we could take it and we can kind of give it our own color and our own brand without, I'm not saying plagiarize.
Well,
I'm saying,
sure.
using the idea of people get these things. And like even with
Yeah.
movies, you see the same movies being made again and again. I'm not even talking about remakes. I'm just talking about
Oh, yes.
core concept. And we know kind of what we're getting into. We go to a movie, but we also know there'll be twists and turns and exciting characters. So it's worth the price of the ticket and popcorn.
You're reminding me of the Hallmark Channel in Christmas.
Its stories are like coming home. It's like a hug for the soul.
Mm. And so when you describe this method or when you describe storytelling, do you, with the age of data being king, and graphs and numbers and all of this,
Mhm.
how do you help? the very left brain people, those analysts,
God
how do
love
you
them.
help
God love
them?
them.
Yeah. How do you help them understand when perhaps they either shield themselves from emotion, which basically is what story engenders in a lot of people? That's the great connector. How do you talk about what the value of storytelling to those folks?
Yeah. So a lot of them understand that they have a problem, especially if they are a startup founder. It's one thing if you have
Yeah.
software engineers sitting coding with their headphones on, happy as clams. They don't have to communicate with the world and they're great at what they do and they just let them code all day. They're happy. But when you do have to present it externally, it's about coming to the understanding that if you turn it 180 and put yourself in the position of your audience, they don't necessarily know what all this means. They don't understand the technology. They don't understand these numbers and this architecture that seems to you like sheer magic goes right over their head. So
Mm,
do you want to teach a class on this and just hear yourself talking, or do you really want to connect and
right.
get them to understand? So it's about taking the Excels and the graphs and the numbers and extracting the meaning. What does it mean? Don't
Right.
just send me a 80-page business plan. Extract to me what I really need to understand as an investor or as a potential client. Bring it to me, answer all my top of mind questions and my gut concerns. So it's like 3-point present pitching. So what goes through your mind, then your heart and your gut. And then
Ooh,
the
I like
power
that.
of the storytelling, it's like you don't want to just touch here because it's easy enough to answer questions, but the story elevates it to a place where they're feeling their heartbeat because they connect to it. And then in their gut, they're like, this is the kind of person I want to do business with.
Yes. Well, and it engenders trust when you can have that
Hmm.
that context, and that person has taken the opportunity to learn more about you and what your
100%.
needs are and your concerns are. It's always the what's in it for me question.
100%. Absolutely.
Yes.
And people are too busy to think about you and your technology. Like if you really want in, understand that they're busy. Understand that their focus right now is how will you help them? Do you understand their needs?
This episode is sponsored by me. So, as a special gift to you, our listeners, I offer a free one-on-one 15-minute breakthrough session. Bring a problem and experience how coaching works to see if it could be of value to you. Sign up for an available time on my website, intuitivewisdomcoach.com.
Yes. So when did you realize that this was your calling? Because it's very obvious that it is your calling.
I'm very lucky. I mean, it was a journey in finding it because when I was growing up, it wasn't like, oh, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a storyteller. That would have maybe been like a librarian, even though I was on a
Oh,
podcast yesterday where somebody told me that like 300 years ago in France, there was someone called the raconteur who would come along and tell the village's story. And everyone would gather, and it was like this amazing position where it was just like an event when they'd come to town and tell the stories of the village and the surroundings. But it wasn't a thing. So it was,
yes.
I mean, I've always been in love with acting and theater, and I knew somewhere in me that I didn't want to be waiting tables at the age of 30. So I had to find something that I loved and was passionate about enough that I could also make a living. You know, the Ikigai model, the
Yes.
Ikigai.
Yes. Yes.
So
Very
for
familiar.
me, Ikigai, and for those of you that are not, look it up because you could see it visually, but
Yeah.
it's your passion, what you're passionate about, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. So it's like these four concentric circles, and right in the middle is your Ikigai,
Hmm.
your reason for being. And without one of those, it kind of falls flat. You
Right.
can't just do what you love and not make enough money to support it because then you're going to constantly be stressing out. You can't do what you're good at if there's no passion in there for you. And then you'll burn out. That's what leads to burnout. So I had to find that ikigai that embodied all of those things. And,
Hmm.
along the journey, it was like, so I went and got my master's in drama therapy at NYU. I thought that was going to be it. But basically, that was like making a living of a starving artist. I would probably have to supplement it waiting tables. And I'm like, yeah, that's not what I signed up for. Where else can I take it? And I heard from one of my professors that she had a friend that went around the world and gave workshops on and motivational speeches. And I'm like, sign me up for that. I was there investigating how do you do that. NYU, where I got my master's, had a continuing ed program for postmasters in training and organizational development, signed up, sent my resume out to the first company hiring corporate trainers that I saw on Craigslist. And I got hired and got to travel the world, giving presentation skills workshops and business writing skill everywhere, Taiwan, India, Indiana, South Africa, all over Europe. And it was just
Wow.
so much fun to see the universality of what people struggle with in their communication. And then
Mm-hmm.
there was another pivot in that. And I know, in reading and preparing for your podcast, one of your questions, and I might be pulling it out too soon, is
It's
like, what are
good.
some of the struggles? So
Yes.
2008 hit, and the first thing that goes is training. Like,
Training, always. Hey, I've been a trainer just like you. I was a trainer for many, many years, instructional designer and training, delivery. So I totally relate. I get
yeah,
it.
and I mean, your
Yeah.
slogan up there, helping companies ride the waves of constant change. So I know exactly where those waves and those inflection points were.
Yes.
So 2008, as the enterprise was imploding,
Mm-hmm.
I, took some other courses. I studied NLP and coaching and was trying to just like enrich my offering. And then again, serendipity reared its beautiful head. And I was introduced to a cardiothoracic surgeon that needed work on his professional speeches, but he also had two startups that he was raising funding for, two medical devices he had invented. He knew nothing about
Oh,
how to tell that story. He
nice.
hired me to do that. I traveled with him to New York to an angel conference where there were like 80 something angels in the room. And I pitched on his behalf. And then the other companies that were invited to pitch got up there and just bombed in the first 3 minutes. And I was just like, my heart really broke for them. I was
Oh.
like, by the way, you only have 5 minutes. It was more like the first 30 seconds they started getting ricochets. And I'm like,
Mm.
how would they have this opportunity and not prepare with someone like me for it? Then I was like, wait a minute. But no one was owning the space with startups. And I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm going to be the storyteller for startups. And, then, sorry, I'm going to pay you. So, long story short, I was able to ride that wave, and then came another wave with COVID. And
Yo.
suddenly
Ooh,
everything was
yes.
shutting down, and my girls
Mm.
were at home with us, and clients were canceling. Other clients couldn't pay for work I'd already done. And I was like, okay, this feels really familiar.
Yeah.
2008 all over again. But so I was better prepared. I pulled out my playbook from 2008, dusted it off. I'm like, okay, what can I learn from here? Move fast, pivot, bring true value.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the key. So people were at home, people were Zooming. They needed to learn how to present online. Companies were
Yes.
looking for value to bring to their teams that were now all over the place. So I just started reaching out, offering communication through Zoom and workshops virtually. And it took a couple months, but then I was back up and running. And I'm very grateful for that. So it's about seeing the wave coming. And instead of standing there as you see the wave about to cross, like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Like you said, you just ride the wave and
Right.
use that momentum of it instead of crashing, for it to propel you forward. And it's not that you're not gonna get water in your eyes and your
Oh,
nose, and you're not
yeah.
gonna be
Nobody
all
says it's
wet.
going to be easy.
Oh no, oh no, oh no. That's, it's like that leap of faith, like that huge wave is about to crash on you, and you're just like, I'm gonna just swim right in. And you don't quite know if you're gonna make it to shore, but you're like,
Yeah.
damn if I'm gonna be drowning in this.
Correct. Correct. It's a lot less painful to hop on the surfboard than it is to stand there and get crushed.
And see what we did here, because of your inspiring
Mm-hmm.
sentence, we told a story because it's a metaphor. And people
Mm-hmm.
can connect to that because visually, oh yeah, everybody knows the surfing and what that looks like. So we took it and we made a story, like you inspired that with your sentence there, and the shell that's up here in the corner.
do you feel like is the most challenging thing that a woman in your position, a woman leader, you own your own business, what kind of most challenging things are you experiencing in today's culture?
I've been very lucky to not encounter a lot of the misogyny and toxic masculinity
That's
that I
great.
see out there. I think a lot of it is about attitude. I could be wrong, I haven't worked in a corporation for a long, I don't know if I'd make it, honestly. But I've been into a lot of organizations and I've here and there had like, this very kind of haughty, holier than thou thing. And I usually think those are rooted out of fear of change. So if you can empathize with that, then it doesn't become a personal affront or a personal attack. I don't know if it's a struggle as a woman. Look, I'm a woman, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a juggler. I've always been a juggler. And I think owning a business has always made me have to juggle. And then I keep getting new balls thrown at me and you learn new skills and you juggle some more. And then sometimes you're like, I need to put a couple of these balls down for now and focus on these balls
Right.
and keeping it together and being aware of that. So it's like it's a lot, but it's also
Mhm.
listening to yourself and knowing, okay, you need to cancel your afternoon and just go take a nap because you got 4 hours of sleep. That's not a true story happened this week. So it's knowing when to say no. Maybe
Right.
that's the biggest struggle. Knowing, yeah, we can do it all, but do we want to? What's the price of that? I
Right.
think women are born with a very special gift of the gut. We have very strong gut instinct, and it's something that I think has to do with our reproductive organs and the fact that biologically we are mothers. And it's a muscle just like any muscle we have. It's just not like a muscle I think they can identify physiologically, but the more
Right.
we listen to that inner voice or inner, like I'll feel it like a little twing in
Yeah.
my belly sometimes, the stronger it gets. When you ignore something, then it's just like it's not there.
Right.
So go with that gut. Listen to what your gut is telling you. Trust in it. Even if other people are saying other things, you don't have to change yourself and your way just because other people are saying it. There's
Yes.
wisdom. Take what works and file away the things that don't. Not
Maybe they'll
everybody,
be appropriate later. Who knows?
maybe, or
Right.
maybe not, and maybe
Or
not, and
maybe
that's
not.
okay. Yeah.
So what are the things that you're most excited about building over the next 10 years?
So it's a little bit ambitious to say 10 years. What I do want to focus on now, I just turned 48 last month, and I kind of feel like each decade has a theme. And my
Mm-hmm.
40s, I felt it was like the era of very few bleeps to give. I'm not
Yes.
here to please anyone anymore. My motto was I'd rather be someone's shot of whiskey rather than everyone's cup of tea. And it's a very liberating thing to feel that because your validation comes from yourself. And then when you get it from the people that are truly closest to you, then it means a lot more, but it's not like you're depending on that.
Right.
As I near 50, I feel like I'm doing a lot of cleaning of the noise. Like my daily, one of my little guilty pleasures is every day when, silly to say it, but like you get the list of birthdays on Facebook. I see names that I have no idea who this person is, how we met, haven't heard from them in years. Delete, delete, delete. I want to get into this core group of people that I truly care about, that I truly want to know what's going on in their lives. And
Mm-hmm.
the same thing with business. It's about cleaning up what I don't have to. And I think that AI is going to play a huge role in that because
Yes.
I see AI as a sous chef. The last chapter of my book is actually I co-wrote with ChatGPT. It had just come out
Oh,
and I'm
wow.
still fooling around with it. Even I wrote the first draft with Jasper, which was like the predecessor. And then when ChatGPT came out, I'd already handed in my first draft of the book. I'm like, I think I need to rewrite this now. So it's like, what
Wow.
is the future of storytelling? And I'm very transparent that I wrote it with them to see
Right.
what they were saying. And I feel, having, and now we're like a year and a half into this, or no, sorry, 2.5 years into this. I feel like AI is going to be like an incredible sous chef and assistant for so many different jobs if we
Hmm.
embrace it and use it in the right way and are, exercise a good degree of caution. So anything I can utilize AI to do that I don't like to do, I'm not good at, or takes me too long,
Hmm.
I'm all for it. And then truly honing in. So I want to do more speaking engagements. I want to do more connecting with
Yes.
people now. It feels like post-COVID, every time I get to be in an actual room with people, it still feels like such a gift.
When I'm in a room with a client face to face, amazing how much we miss because we can't really absorb all of those unspoken notice. I noticed this, I noticed that, I saw
The
the
nuances.
lips clench, or I saw them picking their fingers because they have a nervous habit, or I saw, that kind of thing. We miss so much of that just seeing people from here up all the time.
When I first started the outline for the book, my publisher said, okay, you're either going to have a 700-page book or you're going to split this into three. So probably the next book will be about storytelling for sales. And
Wow.
then, yeah, and then also I want to do one on storytelling for women. I think
Oh,
sell
do that one
ourselves.
first.
Yes, maybe I will. I think we sell ourselves very, very short because
Yes, we
we have
do.
been conditioned to think, oh, it's not modest to toot your own horn.
Oh, right.
And then like this, well, oh boy, aren't you full of yourself? Whereas a man would be like, you go, bro. It's or bruh. He
Yeah, or
said, I'll
bra.
say
Yeah.
bruh. And it's time to get rid of that. And it's time to really find the way to shine. I have a workshop called the X Factor, which is your personal brand storytelling. So, what
Hmm.
are your talents? What are your skills? What's the proof that you've made impact? And then turning that into like this incredible statement about who you are. Because, like, when you're asked in a job interview, tell me about yourself, or you have to put
Uh-huh.
a summary on LinkedIn, or you send some kind of a cover letter or a personal statement, or whatever it might be. That's a trick question because you can answer from anywhere you want.
Yes. And from any perspective,
Absolutely. So
personal, professional.
people will
Yeah.
usually go with the ingredients. The I worked here, I grew up there, I got a degree there, I did this. And there's nothing that kind of connects the dots and tells that story. So that's what I want to do now. It's for women and men, but I like my inner kind of champion is I'm rooting for women because I think we're at a disadvantage in the fact that like the world has told us you have to be like this, you can't be like that. Oh, but if you're not like that, you have to be like that. And it's very confusing.
It
It's a
is
lot of
very,
contradictory.
it's the America Ferrera speech from
Yes,
Barbie.
exactly, from Barbie,
I,
exactly,
I
which was
love that. I love that
best
because it
part of the
just rings
movie.
so true. It was the best part of the movie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, um, but no, I totally agree that we need to change how we speak, not only to each other, but to ourselves. Frankly, I think a lot
Oh
of
God,
our
yeah.
inner
Oh,
dialogue
oh
ruins
yeah.
us in some
And
way.
that also it directly impacts on if you have kids, how they view it.
Yes.
Even, I know a lot of women struggle to take in compliments. They'll deflect it. Ah, no, it's no big deal, or oh no, not really. And I say when you deflect a compliment, you're taking away a gift the other side was trying to give you. It's like imagine somebody bringing you a gift, you
Hmm.
open and you're like, yeah, I don't really want that. That's rude. And that makes the
Yeah,
other side feel terrible. Even if you're not thrilled with the gift, you be gracious. That's at least what I was taught.
absolutely.
Let's have exchange notes or whatever, but you never. So when the other side's giving you that gift, take it in. It's a gift for you and a gift for them.
So I have three questions that I end every interview with.
Shoot.
And I would like to first of all ask if you have any other words of wisdom to share before we get into those three final questions.
I think I shared a lot of pearls throughout this of, things that I truly believe
Yeah.
in. But number one is when you're communicating, all their wants and needs and their filters and how they're listening, and speak from a true place of empathy, of imagining yourself
Mm-hmm.
into their place. That's always going to be more impactful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, don't feel the need to be a people pleaser,
Yeah,
because again, some people, it doesn't matter what you do, they're always going to find fault with it. And that's their bug, not yours. So
true.
don't knock yourself out trying so hard. It's a waste of energy. And then the third one, which is my credo for life, my life motto is, of course, I'm an optimist. I don't see much use in being anything else, Winston Churchill. And
Yes.
I think that optimism is a 10 times more potent fuel to get through life. And I think we have the power to write our own stories, author our own stories, create our own narratives. And optimism is a choice that I make every day. And sometimes it's hard. There
Mm-hmm.
are hard days, and I'll let myself be in the pessimistic place. Then I'll be like, okay, time to get up and keep moving. I think that negativity is a much more like, if optimism propels you forward, negativity just draws you downwards.
Yes. And
And
everybody else with you.
it's like trying to swim forward when you have a weight on your ankle. You're going to work 10 times as hard and
Mm-hmm.
still keep thinking, why? Why do that to yourself?
True. Very
So,
true. I love those words of wisdom. Thank you for sharing them with us.
my pleasure.
So, my three final questions.
Yes.
The first one, if you could please close your eyes and describe the scene that plays out in your mind when I say wise woman, and open your eyes and describe her.
It's funny because like when I think wisdom, I see gray hair, and I don't necessarily think like, if I didn't have my wonderful hairdresser, I would be completely gray. But I think it's the battle scars,
Yeah.
the wearing them as pride, the gray hair, the stretch marks, the wrinkles. I once heard Meryl Streep in an interview, and she was on Oprah or something, and how old are you? And she said, I'm 52 and I own every year. So it's owning those things. It's owning what you've done, what you haven't done, what you still want to do. And
Yeah.
that's wisdom for me. Just, this is me. I
This
can
is
I can
me.
strive to be better, but I am not always going to be perfect, and that's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank
We're complete in every way, just how we
you.
are.
Hmm.
So, what makes you restless in a good way?
When I am either given a task or somebody says, do this, I'm on it right away. Like I cannot just like wait for it to happen. I'm itching to make it happen, because I know if I don't do it right now, it's probably going to get pushed off, and I don't want to do that. So I'm restless to get things done. Just like, and
Yeah.
my husband sometimes he's like, what have you been doing for the past hour? I'm like, finished working, dishes, laundry, filling up the humidifier. So again, shall we count? Like I'm like, these things don't do themselves. So sometimes I need that extra hour at night to get it done. And that's par for course. I'm not going to get mad if someone didn't do their job. I'll just remind them.
Mhm.
My little one, is her job is to fill up the humidifiers, and she went to sleep before she did it. And she's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I'm sorry." I'm like, "It's okay. Next time you'll do it." So,
Yeah, and to have grace too
hmm, hmm.
when those things happen. Okay, so the final question is, where do you like to roam?
Oh, I could go to Italy, speaking of Rome,
Mhm.
to Rome, again and again and again, and never get tired of it. I love living in California because of the plethora of nature that we have right now. Nature is quite angry, and in
And it's
LA, the
kicking
sun
your,
is
you know
good.
what,
And
right now,
so I'm not down there, but
unfortunately.
I am
Thank
just so
goodness.
heartbroken for
Me
everyone
too.
down there. So every place you go has a special kind of magic to it. It's just, I love discovering new places. I really do. So I hope to be able to do a
Great.
lot of roaming.
Wonderful. Well, Donna, this has been such a pleasure
My pleasure.
talking with you. You're so very articulate.
Thank
I wish I
you.
was back back in my articulate phase.
You seem pretty
Oh,
articulate too. So
well, I love stories just like you do. So thank you so much for inspiring me to think about some stories that I could tell. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to get a hold of Donna, we will put her information in the show notes. Donna, do you just want to say how we can get your book?
yep. It's on Amazon.
Amazon?
Just
Okay.
look for Sticking to My Story, Donna Griffit. It's got paperback, Kindle, and audiobook. I did the voice for it. So
Good.
your pleasure of how you want to consume it. And then donnagriffit.com, no H, no two F's, no H. There's a story
Yeah.
about too. Uh, and yeah, if anyone, and if any of you do need my services beyond just reading the book, mention that you heard me on Julie's podcast and you will have a special discount waiting for you.
Ooh, I love that. Thank you so much. I'll make
Thank
sure
you.
definitely to put that in.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And I really, really, really appreciate it.
And I appreciate you. Thanks so much for having me. This was lots of fun.
Thank you.
Take care.
Julie Noonan here. Thank you so much for listening to Roaming with Restless Women. If you're a successful senior woman leader who would like to be on this program, please visit podcast.intuitivewisdomcoach.com. If you enjoyed this interview, please share this episode on social media and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. Your thumbs ups and reviews go a long way.